The traditional phrase for the words I'm about to deliver is a charge to Vestry. Vestry is all of you and the meeting that we've gathered for later this morning. But what is a charge? The Oxford Dictionary suggests multiple definitions. To entrust someone with a task or responsibility, to store electrical energy in a battery, to load or fill to the full or proper extent, to fill or pervade something with a quality or emotion, a quantity of explosive to be detonated, a headlong rush forward, typically one made by attacking soldiers in battle. Today, all those meanings are in play. This morning, Jesus leads us up a mountain. In his preceding words, Christ has laid out the conditions for following him. If any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it. I.e., this road is going to be hard. And in his words immediately following the mountaintop experience, Christ descends and heals a boy whom the disciples could not. And while everyone is awestruck and speaking well of him, he declares, "Let these words sink into your ears. The Son of Man is going to be betrayed into human hands," i.e., the road is going to be hard. And between those two hard places is a rock, and Jesus is leading us up the face of it. The first thing we noticed is the appearance of Jesus' face changed. It was charged with the glory of God, and his clothes dazzled. To be transfigured is to undergo a complete change of form or appearance into something more beautiful. It was like a mask or veil had been removed from his face. Whoa, I had no idea you were so beautiful. In the light of his beauty, we glimpse Elijah and Moses, the prophet Elijah, so the story goes, who didn't die but was carried up by the wheeled chariot of God. And Moses, who himself was charged with the glory of God. Generations ago, when he too climbed a rock face to receive the 10 Commandments, and when he came back down, his face glowed and was charged, and that change in his countenance scared the heck out of people. And no one wanted to be near him, and they made him wear a veil so they could pretend God was further away than he really was. God's up there on the mountain, they said to themselves. We'll visit him when we feel like it, but don't go shining down here where we are. You're scaring the kids. Have you ever seen someone or something you love changed right before your eyes? And all of a sudden you see them in a totally new light. For all its beauty, it is a terrifying business. For his part, and on this mountain, Peter is scared out of his mind at seeing Jesus charged like this. And his gut instinct is to hold on to that which was only ever meant to be fleeting. Let's build something permanent here, and we'll always do it this way, and we can capture and hold on to this moment forever. And in the middle of his fearful prayer, the clouds roll in. These friends of Jesus could be forgiven for thinking that the top of the mountain would yield the postcard view that made all the hard climbing worth it. Instead, they were enveloped by clouds. And here is the truth of the matter. It wasn't cloudy because of forecast or circumstance. It was cloudy because God sent the clouds. And God clouded their vision for one singular reason. It was the only way the disciples could see who Jesus truly was. It was the only way they could become the people God needed them to be. I can imagine what those disciples wanted because I want it too. To flip through the weather app on my iPhone and have it tell me that it's 16 kilometers clear visibility, not a cloud in the sky. And I want this not so that I can trust God, but so that I don't have to. Because then I would know of my own accord that the days ahead are clear, certain, and calm. And I could, with the foolish rich man of the Gospels, declare to my soul, "Soul, life is good. Kick up your feet, eat, drink, and be merry. I'm going to tear down my smaller barns and build bigger ones to store all my wealth." And as Jesus tells it, God says to him, "You fool. This very night your life is going to be required, and all your stuff, whose will it be now?" We want to see the future, because then we tell ourselves that we can control and manage it. But when the clouds roll in and the disciples' vision fails them, they must rely on what they hear. And the voice from the cloud tells them, "This is my son, my chosen. Listen to him." They hear the voice of God, and when the clouds part, they see only Jesus standing there. They hear God and see Jesus. And this was the view God led them up the rocky mountain to witness, that the one whom they were following over rocky ground was the Son of God. Good preaching, like good writing, is about telling the truth. One of my favorite authors, Anne Lamott, quotes fellow author E.L. Doctorow, who once said that, quote, "Writing a novel is like driving a car at night. You can see only as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way." Lamott goes on to say, you don't have to see where you're going, you don't have to see your destination or everything you will pass along the way. You just have to see 2 or 3 feet ahead of you. This is what my headlights are showing a few feet out. The pandemic has collapsed 10 or 20 years worth of change into 2 years. Disease and isolation have hastened the death of our elders. Screens and lockdowns have ruled the imagination of our children. All of us have faced loneliness and the radical upending of our common life. Now more than ever, we need to be able to say clearly and succinctly why we exist as the Church of God. Our mission is learning to follow Jesus Christ, to embody what that looks like for the world and to invite others to join us. And to live into our mission, we need to embrace 3 practices or habits. Number 1, we need to learn to canoe the mountains. It's the title of a book we've been reading as our leadership team. It traces as a metaphor the story of Lewis and Clark exploring in the United States a waterway to the Pacific Ocean. And they were making their way, and instead they found the Rocky Mountains. The assumption at work in the minds of all the explorers was that the geography west of the Continental Divide was the same as the geography east of it. And Lewis and Clark were expert paddlers and well prepared for water travel. One problem: no water. And they got to the first range of the Rocky Mountains expecting to look over and see water, and you know what they saw? More mountains. The world in front of us is not like the one behind us. I can tell you it will not be the same as it was on this side of the mountain. And the skills that enabled us to get to this point, even to thrive, may not be the skills we need going forward. To thrive in this new reality, we must adopt a learning mindset, to allow ourselves to be changed, to make mistakes and fall and get up again. There are no tricks, hacks, or tweaks. To name just two of the dozens of experiments of the last few years, Church at Home, a church planted in the digital language of our age, and our investment in live streaming, which is enabling most of you to hear me right now. Perhaps you've heard the joke. How many Anglicans does it take to change a light bulb? Change? Change is hard. And our parish has been doing it for 130 years, and we're going to be okay. The second practice or habit we're going to need to learn is to build trust. Of all that the pandemic has taken from us, the erosion of face-to-face relationships has perhaps been the most grievous. When we have been face-to-face, we've been masked. And when we cannot truly see someone, it is difficult to trust them. Learning to canoe the mountains will require us to rebuild trust and relationship. Again, from that same book, the author says it's possible to prepare for the future without knowing what it'll be. The primary way to prepare for the unknown is to attend to the quality of our relationships, to how well we know and trust one another. There's a story in the book of how Lewis and Clark and their multitude of traveling companions and their company, they knew each other so well that when it was the middle of the night and all was dark and one woke up coughing, they knew who it was. In 2022, we will practice getting to know one another again and have some fun together to find ways to remind ourselves of the absolutely incredible people whom we are on this journey with. God willing, we'll do that in bigger gathered ways like Sunday morning and shared meals. And I know that the future of St. Clement's is both big and small. And a fundamental way we're going to accomplish this deepening of relationships is via our small groups, places to pray, study, and belong. If you're curious, drop me a line. In addition to canoeing the mountains, and in addition to building trust, finally, we're going to need to have everyone row. This year, I signed a stack of notes for everyone around the world, really, who gave $20 or more to St. Clement's this past year. I had a stack of tax receipts. They were in no particular order. I had a profound moment as I was signing one for $20 and signing my thanks, and I flipped it over for the next, and that one was for $50,000. I am very encouraged to see not only the depth, but also the breadth of our givers and our giving. Young adults and singles making gifts of $5,000. Single parents in the midst of paying bills and managing online school, setting aside something for this place. Seniors on fixed income, making sacrificial gifts and leaving money to bless future generations. Families and couples with so many competing demands and nonetheless prioritizing this one. A community who continued to prioritize reaching out beyond our four walls to the tune of $200,000. And people from Washington, D.C. to California, Jerusalem to South Carolina, British Columbia to Great Britain. saying to us over and over, what you've done during the pandemic has kept me alive. I signed approximately 350 tax receipts. I would love to sign 1,000 next year. In order to thrive on the other side of the mountain, we'll need to rely on everyone to row. And I'm seeking 100% participation, not equal gift, but an equal sacrifice. And for some, that might mean $20. Thank you. For others, doubling what you are currently giving. Thank you. Generosity of resources is a key to our future, but so is generosity of time and talent. We need people to serve. Just to name 3 places, our incredible AV team who've been pulling off the audio and visual for our services. We need folks to serve. I'm gathering a group of folks, St. Clement's 2.0, to look at what do we do with our assets and property and stewardship for the next generation. I need folks to serve. And in our welcome and worship, as we gather folks back and show them that it's safe, I need people to serve. Today we've gone up the mountain. Tomorrow I'd like you to follow me down it, to join me in following Jesus back from the rock to the hard place, but different now. Faces changed, bodies charged with something as energizing as trust, as powerful as an electrical storm, as full as joy, as explosive as hope, as courageous as a headlong rush into battle. Eons ago, God handed down to Moses the words by which he was to bless God's people. The blessing then and now is not that they would see God's almighty arm or experience the abundance of God's hand, but that they would see God's beautiful, transfigured face. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.